Hi guys, this is Jacqui Cooper, and I have Angela here with me. And for those that don't know, Angela has a business where she does dog training. It's called Canine Online Academy. Angela, thank you so much for being here. For those that might not be familiar with all your services, can you share a quick info as to what you do and how you do it?
Sure, absolutely. So we do online dog training, so we can help anyone, anywhere, anytime. And all of our classes are customized to the person themselves. So whatever their needs are, we tailor that class specifically to them.
Now, I know that you have certain trainings that you recommend for everyone, and today's topic is going to be something that's close to our heart. It's traveling with our pet, and we have had podcasts that we've done about travel with air, finding a pet-friendly hotel, pet insurance. Today, we're going to be talking about a road trip. And all those things sort of tie together. So traveling with your dog on a road trip, that means that you are in the car, but you're also connecting to a hotel. You're also getting out of the car. What kind of travel training do you think is needed for when you are doing something which seems so simple as a road trip? And then don't forget, I know you were telling me stories about the dog seat, just like, you know, kids have seats. So
Yeah.
now there are dog seats. So can you give me a little bit more information about all that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I travel with my buddy all the time. He goes to work with me. So he has his own little vest, his protective vest, and then he has a little car seat. So he puts the vest on. Well, I put the vest on. I mean, we're giving a little too much credit there. I put the vest on. He doesn't do it. And then I clip him into his car seat so he's safe on the ride. But the bigger piece of that is when I'm getting all of my gear out and I have a big backpack that I take when I do in homes, or if I'm, you know, at my retail facility, and I'll grab my backpack, I grab my coffee, I'm getting all this stuff out, but he's still in his seat. I have a command where I'm telling him to wait, and no matter what, he'll stay until I say okay and release him from that seat. So that's a really big one when we're traveling in the car.
So how do you decide, something I have to look at, how do you decide what is the right seat for your dog?
I don't think, like, if you have a bigger dog, a lot of times they have, almost looks like a tarp and it's a seat cover. So that's nice. And that's more if you're just concerned about, you know, dog hair or something. You don't necessarily have to have a car seat. Smaller dogs do like to sometimes look out the window. So the car seats, you can make them a little bit higher. Also contains them a little bit better. He likes to curl up in a ball and sleep. So he has a little blanket, and that's why I use it. But you don't always have to have necessarily a car seat, but the harness itself or some sort of safety precaution is definitely great.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I do want to mention to everyone is we have free checklists. So even if we don't cover everything today or we've covered other topics, you can reach out to myself or Angela. We'll send you the free checklist. It also gives you ways to connect with Canine Online Academy to learn more about how to set up a free consult, so that way you can see how Angela can support you with your travels. Now, obviously, you need to plan ahead, but generally with a road trip, you're going to have to think about the food, the water, the bowls, name tags, you know, emergency name tags, possibly having your dog chipped. You know, those are things that you have to think about. What other things can you think of, Angela, that they might need in a car or, you know, just on the go?
A picture. A picture is a good one. Make sure you have a picture, because hopefully your pet's not getting lost, but if they do, having that picture is huge, because you need to show, hey, this is my dog. And sometimes you need that also for proof that it is your dog. Normally they're going to ask you for that.
I think that's really critical, because I could say Gouda is a black dog, but there are a lot of black dogs out there. So, you know, having a picture is really important. Yeah, for sure. I also see on the checklist that you created, you know, some of the things that you might want to keep in your car are like paw wipes, because dogs get dirty, paper towels, first aid kit. vaccination records, having, especially when you travel, it's really important to have a pre-vet visit, because those records are really important. You also put down here medication, because sometimes, dogs have anxiety. Now, you and I were talking about crates. Are there certain crates when you travel that you should be thinking about? Because obviously you have in the car, but you also have in the hotel room, and they might require a crate too.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the collapsible ones myself. So the metal ones that collapse. With my Italian Greyhound, because breed specific, I use a plastic one, but it really depends upon your situation and how you're traveling too, because you do have to fit that kennel somewhere in your vehicle if you're traveling by car. So something else to take into consideration when you're packing up.
Yep. And you also mentioned on here, which I think is really important to point out, some health certificates are required when you cross state lines. So, and it has to be signed by a veterinarian and dated within 10 days of departure. So it really is important that when you're traveling, what the requirements be in case you have to stop, because otherwise you might have some issues because you are traveling with a pet. Are there any other things in that area that you can think of?
You want to, wherever you're going, you also want to have a vet there that you're comfortable with, that you at least have a name and a phone number, so that hopefully, you won't need it. But if you do, or if you need a certificate coming back, depending on how long your stay is. So if it's more than 10 days, you may need a certificate coming back the other way as well.
Yeah, and I also see something else on here that I thought was really, really great as and something to think about. When you're in your pet-friendly hotel, it is important to ask if they have a mini fridge, because if you're bringing raw food or bones, again, different pets have different diets, you might have to refrigerate it, and that's something I hadn't thought about that. So, anything else that you can think of from that perspective, Angela?
Not necessarily from the food perspective. Unless you're doing the raw stuff, then you need somewhere to keep it. But other than that, most dog food you can keep just on you. You want to make sure you pack enough though, because if, some places don't carry specific brands, and you really don't want to switch, especially on a trip, because that can cause upset stomach. So you want to make sure that you can locate your brand if you haven't brought enough with you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Now, the two other areas, we normally think of a road trip as straight road, but a lot of times when we do road trips, we're going to a destination. So we might be going to the beach, we might be hiking or camping, and these are areas which, again, on your checklist, I can see a lot of things to think about, but they definitely have areas where I would want my dog trained, because, whether it's on the beach going to the water or following their nose on a hiking trail, I can see all sorts of scenarios where I would wish I had my dog trained. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. It's super important, especially if you're going hiking or, or there are other dogs at the beach. You want to be able to have recall. You want to be able to call your dog back. That would be huge for any type of event you're doing outside like that. You definitely want to have a good recall proved.
So I also see some other tips, and I know you are such an expert here. I would not have thought about this. LED collar for visibility. That is a great idea. Now, I also know that you train with certain leashes, so you actually have access to certain products that you would recommend. Anything else, just in general, do you think that family might need to bring to protect the dog?
Yeah, absolutely. So especially with two of my dogs, not my third dog because he's darker in color, but with my Border Collie and my Italian Greyhound, they actually have kind of a white nose and it's pink. And so sunscreen is huge. Every time they go outside, I'm putting sunscreen on. So if you're going for a hike or you're going to the beach, their noses can get burnt too. So you want to keep that in mind.
I would never have thought about putting, is there a certain brand of sunscreen that's good for dogs?
Yeah, they have specific dog sunscreen.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I see also you recommend a life jacket. And I can think about why. I know if I was to fall in the water, I'd panic. Do all dogs swim, or why would you want a life jacket?
Most dogs are able to swim, but if you're out on a boat and your dog jumps off and they're swimming in the wrong direction and there's no land, eventually they're going to get tired. So they still need that life jacket just in case, just purely for safety. But yeah, they're going to tire out. They're not going to be able to swim that far unless you can get to them quickly. So
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, the list that you created is awesome. So guys, reach back out to us so that way you can go down the checklist. We have so many other checklists that we created for free. Definitely reach out to Angela for, a consult. It is free, and there might be tips or suggestions that she makes, that can help make your time with your dog on the road a lot, happier and safer, because again, we all want to have a fun trip and not have any accidents happen. Any last minute things, Angela, that you can think of?
no, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. So guys, stay tuned. We're going to be doing ongoing podcasts on traveling with your pet, your dog, because we both have dogs and we love them. And thank you so much for being a listener and following on the YouTube as well. Have a great day. Bye.